Hey Ricky, I'm going to go ahead and try to show you how I got this thing done. I'm going to be kind of switching back and forth between the part that I created and the original part. So I'll try to go slow so that you can follow what I'm doing here, and don't want to confuse you with the two parts. But right now what we're looking at is the part that I did the hole in. What I did was I drug the end of part marker up so that we could go through the changes one by one. I'll go ahead and drag that back up to where we have just the extrusions. Okay, so you can see I went ahead and made visible the XY plane and the Z axis that's going through there. You said that you needed to put that plane on there to where it was going to go, excuse me, at an angle off of there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Z axis and the YZ plane as a reference to create that. Okay, I'm going to pull that right there so we can see where this, let's see, I don't want to include that one just yet. Okay, so I did bring this one off of here, and I'll go ahead and show you how I did that. Here's the original part, and what I did was I went to create another plane, and I went down to where I did the angle to plane around edge feature. So I used this axis here as the edge, and I use this plane as the plane reference, and then you can go ahead and type in the number of degrees that you want, and that's where I got the 54 degrees from. If it happens to be another angle that you need, just go ahead and type that in as you need it. Okay, so that's where I added that one from. Switching over to the other part, that's where we are now. Then I added this other plane in. If I can slide that down a bit. There we go. So now to be able to drill into the part, what I wanted to do was add another plane that goes here, if you can see what I did right there. Now that's a little bit more intricate because what I had to do, I was going to use the same angle around the edge, but I don't have an edge to put on there on this round surface. So what I needed to do was add another axis on there, but to be able to add another axis I needed to add some points. So let's see how we go about doing that. Okay, so I'll go back to the original part, and I'm going to see if I can add some points on there. And one of the options that I have is I can add points at the intersection of a surface and a line or a plane and a line. Okay, so if I go right here, I do have the intersection of I have a plane and I have that surface right there. I can do that again. I can go over here and pick the plane and then catch that little edge right there. And as you can see, you go ahead and just make sure you can see that by zooming in. I have a point right there. All right. So now to get us an edge, the easiest way to do that is to go ahead and add an axis, and we'll use the axis option of through 2 points. And I'll go ahead and pick point 1 and point 2, and now you see I do have an axis that goes through there. Going back to the part that I made, now we can add the plane on there. And since we want this plane to be perpendicular to that one, we can use our same angle to the plane through an edge. And I'll go ahead and pick the edge and pick the plane and leave it at 90 degrees and go ahead and OK that. Okay, let's take a look at the part that I did for us. If you will go ahead and pull down the end of part marker, you'll see that I added a sketch on there so that I could control where the hole would be. So what I did was I put a point on the sketch, if you can see that. Let me see if I can roll this around. And I put a point with the distance on it. Okay, let me go ahead and make that visible for right now. All right, so let's go ahead here. position this to where we can see it. I'm going to go ahead to this plane right here and create a new sketch on it. So now I'm sketching on that plane. I'm going to project the geometry of that axis so that I can put a point on it. I'll drop a point on that axis. Okay, that. We're going to project the geometry of this point right here so that now we can put a dimension on it. Let's see, that didn't quite work. Let me try it again. There we go. I'll go ahead and put in 2 inches there. And I'll go ahead and finish that sketch. So now that we have the sketch here, if I go to the hole tool, when I go to the hole tool, it automatically finds it from the sketch. I can change the diameter and make sure that my termination is set to through all so that it will go through both parts. Now I can go ahead and take off the visibility of these points and planes. And there you have it. The hole is going all the way through. All right, Ricky, I hope that gets you where you're going so that you can create this part on your own. Thanks a lot, man.